Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week. Now, species tulips, there's a lot of different kinds of tulips, different groups of tulips, but species are one of my favorite. I've always really liked them. These are the ones that really basically have not changed from the way they are in their native home. So, what I like about them is the fact that they do look after themselves, they do spread, they can sort of seed themselves, but usually they just keep multiplying. I have found in my garden that the species tulips really aren't that bothered by predatory animals. So, yeah, there's been a few times when they have suddenly disappeared or moved, or I found they've been dug up and then somebody changed their mind. But generally what I've found is that if you give them a good home, that these ones continue to basically last in your garden for many, many, many years. In fact, some of my clumps are actually 2-3 decades old. So here's a couple that I like, and we'll go and we'll run through them, and I'll give you the down low on some of those that I really, really like. The Baccarat Lilac Wonder. This one is an excellent one. Now, again, these are little tulips, so you want to plant them in deep, or I should say big clusters. When I say deep, they're only going to be down 2-3 inches. I find that they do better when they're done that way, and better when they receive a mulch each year, usually from the leaves that are up above. I found that the leaves up above, as long as they're not smothering the bulbs, are the best. So watch out for maples and anything with very large leaves, but everything with small leaves seems to do very well. The Lilac Wonder is a sort of a mauvey pink on the outside and opens up into almost a creamy white with a yellow center. Then there's the Bright Gem. Now, Bright Gem looks a little bit more like a regular tulip, but it's yellow on the outside and on the inside, but it's got a little bit of, I won't say it's a flare, I'll say it's a speckled band up each petal that's more of a red than orange, okay? So, really quite nice. And then there's Chrysanthemum Gem. Now, this one is very popular. When people see this one, they have a tendency to buy this one right away. So if you see it, grab it. These ones are going to be about 20 centimeters tall. And what I like about them is that they are more lily form type, still small. Gotta remember, the species tulips are all small tulips. They're not big tulips. And they're the light yellow with a very strong, bold red outside, which I like. Now, when they opened, and a lot of them will open during the day to show the center, and then as the night comes, they have a tendency to close up a bit. So you get that change with the time of day. Hageri Splendens is another one. This one is 25 centimeters tall. It's more of a red with a little bit of a purple speckled band on the inside of each petal. And it does open up quite wide. You still get a little bit of yellow on the inside. And I like this one simply because of the color combinations. You got to be able to use these in clusters of quite a large ones because they are small. So you don't go and plant them where you won't see them. You're going to have to put them up front. and maybe even into a rock garden or into a little bit of a show garden near a sitting area so that people can actually see them. Most of them actually do like better drained soils. Honky Tonk is another. It's only 15 centimeters tall. It's more of a white regular shaped tulip, still small, but each on the outside of each petal is a very pale coral pink, sort of speckled flare. But you're going to have to look for it. It's not something that's in your face. Little Beauty is another one of those ones that people see and they grab right away. This one is only 10 centimeters tall. It is more of a red, almost a scarlet. It's got the black center with the yellow stamen, so it's a good contrast. It opens to show you the inside, and that is one of the ones that you really like. This one goes very quickly. This one, Lilac Wonder, and the gem, Chrysanthemum gem, go extremely quickly in the stores. Polychroma is one that I have in my garden, and it just, let's put it this way, it's there, it's always dependable. It's only 10 centimeters tall, and it blooms and it spreads and it does very well. And unfortunately, I put it in the spot because this one's more of a little bit of a open formed white with a little bit of yellow streaking in the center. So it wasn't a big and showy, so it didn't really get up front. And yet it is one of the ones that have lasted so well into the garden. And of course, it's growing under a metasequoia, which means it gets all that nice mulch from the twigs and the leaves, which are very fine. So it likes that. Persian Pearl is a little harder to get. It's in the Pusella group of species tulips, and it's 10 centimeters tall. It's red and white striped on the outside, which is excellent. This one goes like crazy. Along with this one is the Pusella violacea. Again, this is more of a violet red. It has a yellow center. It's 10 centimeters tall, and it goes like crazy. People see this one, they buy it. Red Hunter is a little taller. It is about 15 centimeters. It's more of a tulip shape. It does open up a little bit, and it's sort of a coral orange with a little bit of a yellow edge on the edge of the petals. Result is that when it's closed, it looks like it's yellow and more of a orangey color, which is very popular. Saxtilis is one of the most common of the species. It's more of a lilac lavender with a very strong yellow center. It opens up. It's 20 centimeters tall, and it is very, very persistent into the garden. Silvestri is another one, and it's 30 centimeters tall. It's one of the taller ones. It's yellow, and on the outside it's got like a fleckled purpley brown. So it is very different than the others, and Silvestri is popular. Then there's Desmond tarda, or most people just call this one Tulip tarda. And what you'll find is that this one is another one that lasts very well in the garden. So plant most of these tulips about 3 inches down, about 3 to 6 inches apart, and just let them go. And you'll find you'll do very well with them. Tarda being 10 centimeters tall, again up front. Turkestanica is not a very common one. You'll have a little harder time finding this one. It's taller. It is more in the 20 centimeter range. It's more of an open white, and it's very open. The petals are pointed. It almost doesn't look like a tulip. So people are going to sort of walk by it being white or predominantly white and not really notice it. If you can get combinations of them, then you'll find that the combination of different plants, and also I know that the grape hyacinths do well with these, but the grape hyacinths do have a tendency to take over. So you may have to control the grape hyacinths, but a lot of them go and contrast extremely well with the grape hyacinths. Whether the grape hyacinths you put in are the dark bluey purple ones, the lighter blue purple ones, or even the white ones, you'll find that they will do very, very well together as a mixture as well. So that's a group of tulips that you're maybe not familiar with, and I would strongly recommend that you go and you put them in. There are a few others usually available. Technically, some of the other varieties are considered species as well, and yet they fall under the Kaufmannii, Gregis, etc. In other words, the short earlies. But a lot of people just don't sort of put them in that group. They are technically species, in other words, they occur as they are in the wild, but to be honest with you, they're much bigger, they're prettier, and they're a lot more common and easier to find, showier, and I think that's really what gets them out of the species tulip group and more in with the others as well. So remember, sunny area, well drained, mulched, and you'll find that the species will do well when planted about 3 inches down and about 3 inches apart. You could go wider if you're more patient. I'm not. So, and plant in big clusters as well. So, and this gives you show, and they make nice little border plants between other shrubs and low shrubs. If you're got collection of dwarf hostas, they'll be nice. A lot of them will be nice mixed in with those as well. So do that, plant and enjoy, and then go and plant your regular tulips in the usual 5, 7, 9, 11 groups. In other words, smaller groups when you're viewing them from up close, bigger groups when you're viewing them from a distance. One type of tulip in a clump. You can contrast clumps, but don't go and mix them. It looks very disgusting. And the other thing to do is that you want to put them back a little bit so that you can plant the annuals in front to cover up the dying foliage on your regular tulips as well. I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.